All right, so we've got some data here from the very first unit. And I wanted to show you guys how to get kind of some quick summaries. The first thing is Excel can add things for you, which is really, really nice. So for example, one way to find out how many kids Andrea has in period 2 would be to physically add these all up. Another way is to use my mouse, and I'm just holding down my mouse so that I'm kind of dragging, and I'll go all the way to one empty row below. And I'm going to go up to formulas up at the top. You probably can't see it, but you'll be able to see it on the recording. And then there's this thing right here that says auto sum. It's the Greek letter right here, delta. And you just click that, and it adds it all up for her. Now, if I wanted to add up all of the periods at once, so I wanted to see all of Andrea's, her period 3, her period 5, Jordy's period 1, all of that at once, like I could highlight all of those. And it will understand that I want the columns. So it just went ahead and added up each column for me really quickly, which was kind of nice. I'm just going to go ahead. Jen didn't have a test that kind of correlated, so that's why we've got an empty spot there. I can also add up the rows that way. Let's see. In fact, I'm going to go ahead. Oops, I missed some of Cindy's here. So if I want to see like how many kids took this test in the PLC all the way across, what I can do, kind of the same idea, is I can, like this first row would tell me all the kids who got an A in the PLC. And again, I'll just hit the auto sum. 150 kids got an A out of the whole PLC. I know it's a lot. This is again on our presentational data. If I look at the next row, 73 got a B. And that's much faster, right, than having to add it up by hand. 64 got a C. And if I want to do like my D's and F's and absences all at once, I can highlight more than one row at once. The way it knows what I'm adding is where I'm adding the extra empty spot. Do you see I've highlighted the empty spot here on the right? That's how it's understanding that I'm adding up each row rather than each column. And it puts the total then on that far right-hand side. If I wanted to see how many kids total took the test, and well, I guess this actually includes the absences as well, I could just add up there. So we have 349 kids in the PLC take this test or who were absent. Now, if I wanted to make maybe a display with this, or actually let me talk to you about how to do the percentage. There's probably a way for Excel to do this percentage for you, but I wasn't able to figure it out in the amount of time we have. So the way I'm going to do these percentages is I'm going to take 150 and divide it by 349. And then I'm going to just move the decimal place twice and kind of round. So 43% of the kids got an A, and then 21% got a B, and 18% got a C. 6% got a D. 7% didn't pass it. And then 5% have yet to take it.
And this would really help us with SMART goals, right?
It could absolutely allow you to find out if you're making a SMART goal really, really easily from some assessments. Let's say I wanted to make a display with this, maybe kind of similar to what I did with the interpretive. Did you guys like this display? Was that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, so the way I would gather that is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a summary for each teacher with raw data. I'm just going to look at the raw data. I'm just going to copy some. I just want to reuse the format of the columns and not have to remake them again. I'm going to do Andrea. I'll get Jordy his own column here. I'm going to only do one column for each teacher because I'm going to put all of the data for that teacher instead of doing per period. Oops. There we go. And then Cindy. Okay, so I'm going to not do yours, Jen, because this didn't match up with stuff you were doing. So let me just delete those cells. Okay. And then the periods no longer make a difference because I'm doing total data. Huh? Oh, we don't need Jordy twice. We love you, Jordy. We don't need you twice. Who did I miss? Allison. How did I do? Did I spell it right?
Yeah. It looks like an abstract.
I mean, weird language.
Handshakes. Hajakus.
It's another.
Okay, now none of these numbers are actually valid numbers. Let me really quickly get this column to a width where we can see Jordy's name. Okay, none of these are real numbers because these were the numbers from like individual people's periods. So I'm going to take those out. Maybe. Why am I having trouble clearing that? There we go. Did you see how those totals all went to 0 at the bottom? My formulas to add when I copied and pasted traveled with me. So they're going to add as I go. Now, right here, I could have Excel add for me, but it gets a little tricky when I've got other stuff together. So I'm just going to add this really fast. Let's see, that is 4563, 19. I'm just adding all of Andrea's. And then I'll add Jordy's. And then these numbers are not easy to compare because these are for for teachers who have more than one period, you're going to have these way larger numbers, right? So like Ceci only has one class. So like if we looked at it, we might be like, oh wow, Ceci, doesn't have maybe as many A's as Andrea, but she has fewer classes. So that would be why. Let's see, Allison. Oops, that was supposed to be 0.
212 is 256. I don't know the one. 1, 2. No, second and 6.
Okay, so what I've got here, and the reason I chose to do this was this just allows me to see how many in each category for the teacher altogether without worrying about what period. I'm now going to take this and copy this again. I'm not going to copy the formula at the bottom because it's not going to matter. And I'm going to change this to a percentage. And I'm going to do this I did this by hand, which you may be like, I don't care enough about this to do this. Okay, so you don't have to do this if you guys don't want to, but I'm going to just change these to percentages really fast by doing some division.
What are you dividing?
I'm dividing the number of students by the total number of students for each teacher. So like Andrea, you had 19 students got a B, but you have 104 students, so I'm going to do 19 divided by 104.
And to get the percent, you're always doing the smaller number.
Smaller numbers on the top. Yep.
And then do you multiply that or divide that by?
You technically multiply it by 100. I just don't. I just know to move the decimal place twice, but yeah, so.
Like when a student's calculating their percentage, they got like a 30%.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so to find the percent, what you could do is you take the number in the category divided by the total and then times 100. That's what most students do. I just do it a little differently because of familiarity with it. No, just because I'm spend all day with these numbers. So I look for shortcuts. Okay, so then Jordy, each of Jordy's numbers I'm going to divide by the 69 because that's how many he had in his class.
Ooh, 69.
I know, right? Isn't that? I was literally thinking that. I was sitting there thinking like, I'm so glad that I'm not sitting here with freshmen right now. But I am sitting here with Allison, so uh-oh.
Yeah, Carlos, did she have to draw a penis on everything for you? Oh, he draws a penis on everything. I was stop. I'm always just like, geez, no one knows how to draw elephants in here. Here's another one. No,
That's not supposed to be an elephant.
Like, go top.
Sorry, as you guys sit here and watch me crunch numbers, I apologize.
No, that's okay. No, we're just cheering you on. Yeah.
I was so bad at math, to be honest.
Right?
I passed it, but it was like, oh god. Definitely not that part of my brain.
You know what's really funny is they say language and math actually are really highly correlated, which is really interesting. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they are, but like also they just don't work for me. Math just is not my.
I guess music's I don't know. They try to correlate everything with math to give us some credibility. I guess maybe. They say music and math.
Yeah. My mom wouldn't let us use calculators.
Uh-huh.
I was a soft. Everything had to be in our head. so much dropped.
You're like, I got
always
this.
figure out the sale. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's 17% off. Oh, look. But then when I got to calculus, I was like, I don't trust that.
What?
I had to keep
You're like,
doing
that
it.
calculator thing is evil.
I'm like, what is this robot? Am I doing it right? You can just decide to calculate it again.
Right.
You know, we really did a nice math, but you won't get it.
I had a student who was like, you can't add in your head, and we had to add 16 plus 1. And I was like, you know,
But it's also hard when they put you on the spot.
she's like, there's no math involved in that. I was like, you just do it. I was like, I'm sorry, Sarah. I just
Okay.
don't get math.
So what this new category is this is the percentage of students in each grade category for each teacher. So I'm going to just show you one last thing because I know we're getting close to the end of time. I'll show you how to make a display. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just highlight all of this. Let me enlarge this a bit for you. And then up at the top, there's a tab called Insert. And then they have this thing here called Recommended Charts. And if you click that, they're going to say, here's how we recommend you display this. And there's more than one way. Like the way that I chose earlier with you guys, I think was this way. But we could have done it sideways. This is like a stacking one, which is kind of interesting. I'll just do that one so you guys can see it. This tells you by color coding each letter grade. So like the blue at the bottom is A's, the percentage that were A's. Do you see how they all add up to 100? That's because we use percentages.
But
And-
that was so weird to me. That looks like nothing. That's pretty.
I know, right? So yeah, so the A's are, so if you wanted to compare the A's, that's pretty easy just because of the height there, right, of the blue. But it gets a little harder, I think, as you start looking at some of the other ones. But so the orange, to compare the height of the orange, boy, you guys are so similar all the way through on the B's. That's crazy. And it is interesting. C's are really interesting. Either there's very few C's or there's a fair amount.
The C's.
The C's. Yep. D's was small all the way through. D's is the yellow, very small all the way through, very consistent. Same thing with the F's, were the darker blue on the top, and then the green were the absent kids. Like, I don't know how you did it, Cindy, but you have no absent kids. You got them all to test.
I mean, that was irrelevant because I had all the kids take it.
So there you go.
I had them like make it up.
Right.
To
Good
me, I
job.
didn't understand what the absent kids
Some of the kids have been excluded.
right, but
for so long
exactly.
that you can't get 'em
So
in.
when they came back, I
Yeah.
went down to do it.
Yep.
So,
Exactly. So that's one chart. I'll kind of show you. If you want, you can make it all pretty. Like, oh, I want a different background. There's all sorts of things you can do if you
That's
want.
so cool.
I literally sit there and
Okay,
geek
so
out.
oh, yeah.
I geek out like that. Okay, I'll show you this again. So I've got my data highlighted. Do you guys see I have labels at the top and the sides though for the data? That's really helpful. The labels are helpful because they actually pull into the diagram. And so again, you go insert and then recommended charts are a really good place. But like there's multiple ones. Like we could have done all sorts of weird things. Some of them I'm like, I don't even like at all. This one is kind of like the one we just looked at.
Can we see the one that we have today?
Sure.
We can kind of-
Yep, compare. The one that I gave you for the interpretive
Oh, yeah.
was, I believe, this one. Yep. The only thing that's different is I did not add in a summary column for the whole PLC.
We have almost the exact
Mm-hmm.
I think we have the same number of days on.
Percentage. Same
Yeah.
percentage, yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
That's so fun.
Yep.
Yeah. In my defense, well, so when these 1 point apart, it was 20, I mean, I don't know. So a lot of,
Yeah, you have a lot of you put your A's and B's together, and that's by far the most in your class.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's A, B is almost an A for a lot of kids.
Yes. Well, and to be honest, anytime a kid gets A, B, and C, they're meeting your standards. They may not exceed, right? Your A's or you're exceeding, but A, B, and C's meet your standards. You guys have very few kids who are not meeting the standards. most of the kids are meeting your standards.
And honestly, I don't know about other people's classes, but the students in my class that had D's and F's, they're the ones that just refused to do
Mhm.
the entire period, so.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys are seeing too? Yeah.
There's definitely.
Or like.
Those
when you have an
non-participants.
assignment, They don't do it, you know, like, those kids.
Right. I'm gonna stop the video if that's okay. We can still talk if you want, but look, it's not pretty.